It's about 95 degrees out, probably like 80% humidity, so I figured it was the perfect day to fight with some old tires and see if we can get them off these old wheels. So what we have here is a couple of 1935 Ford wire wheels with tires that have been on this for probably 50 years or more. They're old, dry, rotted tires. They're not good for anything, but I want to see what the inside of the wheel looks like. Now, obviously, we can take these to a tire shop and pay somebody to dismount them. With the way things are now, you're probably looking at least $10 a piece just to dismount these things. So if we bring a bunch of these over there, you're going to spend a bunch of money only to find out that maybe the wheels aren't even any good. So instead of doing that, you can dismount these at home. And there's a couple tricks that you can throw in there to make this a little bit easier and not have to fight with them so much. So that's the plan for this video, is I'm going to show you the procedure that I use at home to dismount these things and save a few bucks. So go ahead and crank up that AC, grab yourself a cold one, kick that recliner back and relax, and watch while I sweat my ass off fighting with these tires and question a lot of my life decisions. So here's what we're starting out with. I actually had 6 tires and wheels to start with. I started doing it this morning, dismounted 4 of them, and then realized I should probably do a video on it. So we got a set of 4 1935 16-inch wire wheels, and then there was a couple of the later 1940 style wheels. Doesn't much matter. What we're going to use for tools is the El Cheapo bead breaker, a set of El Cheapo tire irons, and an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel. Now, I didn't come up with this procedure. I copied it off somebody else, and it works pretty well. Alright, so we're going to start off with this one. This one was actually holding air, so I want to hang on to the tube just to have it as a spare. These super cheap bead breakers don't work that well, but you gotta fight with them a little bit, but they'll work. Just be patient. You gotta move the tire around sometimes, depending on how stuck the tire is to the wheel. This one is being far more stubborn than the other ones were. So once you get the bead broken on both sides, we can get this thing out of the way. Now, as I mentioned, the tube I think is good in this one, so I want to try to get it off without destroying it. So the procedure is going to be a little bit different on this one than it will be on the other one. So here's where the really important part comes in. First off, take your 2 tire irons, get a good bite on it, just get a piece of this lip up above the wheel. There's a metal, I don't know, strand or cable or whatever you want to call it, that's inside the bead of this thing, which gives it the bead strength. And that's what gives it the rigidity and makes it really difficult to dismount by hand. So something to keep in mind, you know, you can go in here with like a 5-foot long tire iron and try to pry this tire off. The problem is these older wheels, and especially ones that have some rust on them, are thinner and weaker than newer wheels. So you get in here and start prying on them, you're probably going to bend the hell out of that outer lip. So in the end, you're just going to make a lot more work for yourself trying to straighten that out. This is a little trick I found that makes it way easier to get these off of here. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to try to save this too, so I'm doing this one a little bit differently than I'm going to do the other one. So, like I said, get this much up above here, and we're just going to cut the very end of this so that we cut that metal strand. I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. Try to get him around about the same place. Make it easier when it comes time. Right about there. Back over and work this bead off. It should come off fairly easy having the cut in it like that. A lot of these, if they've been in there a little while, the tubes kind of rust weld themselves to the wheel, so you gotta get in the back side here and kind of break it free. Like that. Again, I'm just saving this tube as a spare if we need it for a roller or something. I wouldn't throw it on something I plan on driving a lot. There. Now we got a nice 16-inch inner tube that we can put in the pile with all the other ones that I will most likely never use. But, well. And now it's easy. Tire's already half off the wheel. Having that relief cut in there. The back side will make it come off even easier. Something I'm going to do to make it even easier is do a bigger relief cut. Get that up there. I don't do this initially because I don't want to risk cutting into the tube. this right off here. Just like that. So with that off, we can see the inside of the wheel actually isn't that bad. I expect it to be worse than that. A lot of times they've been sitting around with a tire on, they get some moisture or some water in there, and they will just rot right out because there's no way for the water to get out. This one's actually pretty good though. So we'll put that in the save pile. Alright, now for this one, I don't care about trying to save the tube, so this should go even quicker. Now if you can see right here, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I drilled a hole in this a while ago to let all the water out of it. I had it sitting outside, so it sounds like it's pretty well drained out. So where it had water in it, it's probably going to be kind of a pain to get the bead broken, but we're going to find out. Alright, so this one we're going to be a little less careful. I'm going to put a mark on it, the one right there, and right there. If you cut them in kind of the same spot, it makes it even easier to get them off. Some of these old tires are like truck tires, they're super thick. These aren't horribly bad. Get some that are like 6 or 8 ply and they can be a real pain. That's where this definitely comes in handy because you're not going to pry those things off of there very easily at all. too small to do much with it. But as you can see, I just cut further up into it. It lets the sidewall flex a lot more. It's a lot easier to come off. With a new wheel on that thing, it would cut right through, no problem. We got it. Flip it back over. And it should come off pretty easy at this point. Now let's just pull the wheel off. And you can see that got some water in it for a while. Nice big hole in it there. Slimy. So we won't be saving this one. Hopefully the wheel isn't too hard to get. So surprisingly, the wheel's actually pretty decent rust-wise. Being full of water like that, they're usually really, really rusty. This one actually held up quite well. It does have a big old smacko in it right there. I'm not sure what happened with that, but it should be fixable, hopefully. I don't know how bad that is, but it still looks pretty good. So one other tip you can do, and I would do it outside just because it's going to smoke so much, you can actually just cut this all the way around. Then you can just pretty much just peel this thing off without fighting with it at all. I didn't want to do that in the garage because I didn't want to smoke myself out here, but that's certainly an option. You can also use a Sawzall with like a demo blade. That'll kind of do the same thing. A little more work, but either way, makes it a little easier if you cut it all the way across. So if you're doing this inside, obviously it can get a little bit smoky in here. You can see there's a bit of a haze in here now. But as an added bonus, it kind of smells like a fresh burnout. And that's just like air freshener for car guys. Well, there you have it. The tires are all dismounted, and as I had predicted, I am sweating my ass off. So if I wasn't trying to record this, it probably would have taken me an hour, maybe a little bit longer to do all 6 wheels. You figure that probably saved 50, 60 bucks doing it that way. Not bad for an hour's time. So the bead breaker, you can get them for like 35 bucks. The tire irons are probably 20 bucks. I've used them dozens of times and have yet to break either one of them. So that's it. Hopefully you found this helpful. A few little tips and tricks you can use to dismount some tires at home. I am going to go sit in front of the fan for a few minutes, see if I can de-sweatify myself a little bit. I appreciate you watching, and we will catch you on the next one.